Somehow, the movie of the summer was a terrifying story about the disappearance of a classroom of children. Weapons is bold, experimental, unsettling, and not exactly what you would imagine a blockbuster to be.
What the f***?
And yet, Weapons has been a runaway hit. There are many reasons why, but it all begins with Zach Cregger's screenplay. Unlocking the Weapons script allows us to understand why the movie works.
Are you watching?
Before we start running, make sure to subscribe to StudioBinder and enable notifications to stay up to date on all our new videos. And if you haven't already guessed, we'll be getting into spoiler territory. Let's go. Weapons was written and directed by Zach Cregger, who was coming off the heels of the much celebrated horror movie Barbarian. Cregger wrote the script for Weapons before Barbarian had even been released. Describing his writing process, Cregger credits David Lynch as a big inspiration, letting ideas come to him and spill onto the page, even if he's not yet sure what they mean.
I try so hard to just turn my brain off when I'm writing completely, and to just really be absent from the creative process. So I just let it be what it is.
This means no outline, no pre-planning, just writing. As Cregger puts it, I had no idea what the story was going to be. I literally went line by line. This is a true story.
This is a true story.
What is it? This teacher came to school and none of the kids were there. Okay, why? Yeah, they all ran away the night before. Okay, where'd they go? Nobody knows. And yet, the resulting screenplay for Weapons is anything but stream of consciousness. Its structure is meticulous, its tone is layered, and its themes are complex.
Hey, X-Man. How was school?
Let's dissect how these elements work together, beginning with structure. In Barbarian, Cregger established himself as a screenwriter who likes to take structural risks. Weapons takes this even further, cycling through different viewpoints as the story progresses. To understand why this unique approach works so successfully, you need to look at Cregger's inspirations. The first and foremost of which is Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia, a film which takes a similar approach to structure by focusing on different characters as its story progresses.
And that is a very tricky thing on my part.
Cregger has cited similar works as well. Obviously, if I reference Magnolia, then I'm kind of referencing Nashville and Shortcuts, just because they're so linked. Pulp Fiction. I should be referencing that more often because that movie really inspired me so much as a kid to think about structure outside the box.
How we doing, baby?
I gotta go pee.
These movies are all very different from each other and from Weapons, and yet their similar structures give them an additional through line. They are ensemble films that emphasize characters, utilizing different perspectives to create a kaleidoscopic vision of a story, idea, or place.
If you're all right, say something.
Something.
In Weapons, this structure lets Cregger examine different reactions to grief, whether it be anger or self-destructive habits. The structure also allows Cregger to play with subjectivity.
Now, we're going to ask you some questions about what happened at school, okay?
Cregger notes, I just knew that I wasn't going to have one perspective throughout the movie. I needed a plethora. Especially too because there are certain key moments where we're seeing two characters interact. And so you get one side of the perspective from one character, and then several chapters later you're seeing it from the other character's point of view, and then they overlap. This subjectivity is ideal for the mystery Cregger was telling, one which affected an entire town. Different characters see different things and pick up different clues, letting the audience put together the pieces before the characters do.
Alex Lilly lives in this house.
This way of unveiling information also creates tension. We know a character is in danger before they do. Where the Weapons script differs from its inspirations is telling too. As Cregger explains, Weapons is much more rigidly structured than Magnolia. Magnolia jumps back and forth across everybody and it feels like one giant montage, whereas Weapons is very, very rigid and segmented. This is because Weapons, for all its structural experimentation, still has a driving conflict at its center and a clear story arc.
We're talking about 17 kids in one classroom. What happened in that classroom?
Where Magnolia and similar films like Shortcuts moves from character to create an amorphous, wandering narrative, Weapons moves to a new character to reveal new information and further the plot.
Principal Miller and Gladys.
There is another crucial distinction that Cregger outlines. I wanted to set a rule for myself that I would never go back. Once I moved on, their chapter was done. If I could hold fast to that, the movie would be better for it. And it was not an easy thing for me to do. But for better or worse, I committed to that structure. This strict rule serves a few purposes. First, it creates tantalizing cliffhangers that the audience slowly learns won't be resolved until other storylines catch up. Second, it forces each chapter to have its own beginning, middle, and end, giving the film an almost episodic feeling. Third, it builds anticipation. Once the audience figures out how the film is structured, the reveal of the next chapter becomes more riveting. Who will we see next? What secrets are they withholding? The unique structure of Weapons also affects its tone.
There we go.
Entering different subjectivities allowed Cregger to handle a wide variety of tones throughout the film, an idea which he also borrowed from Magnolia. He explains, Magnolia is really just a big ensemble, and it's totally proud to be an epic movie and to be a little bit messy. It paints with all these different colours, but it has such a specific palette, and it's sad and it's funny and it's everything. Weapons, too, is sad, funny, and everything in between. Justine's chapter largely feels like a Fincher-esque thriller, while James's chapter is breakneck action, and Alex's chapter is pure horror. But regardless of the subjectivity, Cregger was sure to stay grounded at points in drama.
The trait of a really good genre movie is if it can function, just as a straight drama. Is the performance there, is the dialogue there, is the character arc, is the character building there?
Of course, at its core, Weapons is a horror movie, and Cregger was sure to deliver on the scares. But he was also cognizant of when not to deliver scares.
Once the kids go crashing through the first windows, there's nothing to be afraid of anymore. We all kind of see the writing on the wall. We know this is going to go down, in a really bad way for Gladys. And I'm hoping that at that point, it's just pure catharsis. It's just pure joy,
Beyond its horror, Weapons is also funny. Cregger comes from a sketch comedy background, and humour is on display in every chapter of the film. But Cregger was careful not to overdo it.
Goddamn freaky little...
He explains, the secret is to let comedy come from an authentic reaction to a bizarre scenario. For example, when Josh wakes up from his nightmare, that's him behaving completely authentically. Therefore, we all identify with it, and it's funny.
What the f***?
That's not me trying to be clever. That's just like, oh, this is how I'd react. And I think whenever it comes from a real place, it works. If I try to force a joke, it won't work.
I'm sorry. Hello?
Cregger's sketch background also helped him arrive at these bizarre scenarios, which lent themselves to humor.
I don't know how many years I committed all of myself to Whitest Kids. Basically a decade, honestly.
Yep.
You know?
Same.
So I think like if there's a gym, you know, like a mental gym, I was working out the muscle group that was like, how far can I go? You know, how can I go left when I should go right?
These disparate tones come together to create a powerful medley. Placed in close proximity, they augment each other. Comedy is more cathartic, and horror is more chilling. The audience is also kept on their toes, since we don't know what's coming next. Both the tone and structure of Weapons work in conjunction with its themes. Weapons has already been analysed endlessly, as people search for hidden meanings in the more open-ended elements of the film. But Cregger has claimed that some of these symbols, not even he knows the meaning of.
I really try not to intellectualize anything.
This, too, Cregger borrows from David Lynch.
Action!
He explains, "I'm a huge fan of the David Lynch process of transcendental meditation, incorporating what you get from your subconscious into your art and leaving it alone. But that doesn't mean Weapons is absent of any themes. Much of what Weapons wrestles with comes from Cregger's personal experiences.
It started with me kind of obsessing over how I felt about Trevor, and then the end of it is me kind of obsessing over my dad."
Cregger's friend and close collaborator Trevor Moore passed away in 2021, and the grief Cregger experienced from the loss permeates through Weapons. He describes how those feelings fueled his script. "I'm kind of feeling all of these emotions that you get when you lose somebody. I was able just to write these characters that had the same emotions, about these kids leaving and this community left in the wake of that. It was a really fertile playground for me to write about my anger and sadness and all these things, and let them do everything I wanted to do, but I can't do." Once the script shifts to Alex's perspective, Cregger pulled from another personal experience.
The Gladys and Alex chapter to me is just about living with an alcoholic parent. I grew up in an alcoholic household. My dad died of cirrhosis, you know, and it's a terrible thing that comes into a family dynamic, and it changes everything. And so, you know, I had a happy house, and then something came into my house and it turned my dad into a scary person, and I'd go to school and everything's cool, and I'd go home and I'd have a scary house with a scary dad.
As deeply personal as these themes may have been, they also resonate far beyond just Cregger, allowing audiences to insert their own feelings and histories into them. Cregger explains, "I wasn't trying to comment on or even tap into collective societal tragedies. I was purely writing from a personal place. However, with art and especially storytelling, the individual is universal. So I'm more than happy if anybody relates to what I went through and what this movie is examining."
Love you.
Love you.
The personal themes serve to connect the many chapters of the film, examining singular ideas, like grief, from multiple angles. They also serve to add depth to the film, grounding it, even when things get over the top.
Matthew!
The open-ended symbols, meanwhile, engage the audience in the mystery,
Is that my ribbon?
trying to find meaning out of the meaningless, just like the characters. Weapons is a testament to screenwriting that experiments but remains immediately accessible. It's terrifying, funny, heartfelt, and above all else, one of a kind. Cregger himself puts it best. "Sometimes you're in the zone, and I feel like I was in the zone when I was writing Weapons." Are you in the zone? Get started on your own movie with StudioBinder's pre-production software, where you can write your script, storyboard, and more, all in one place. That's all for now. Time to get up and get out.